Hi, SIP team. Sorry that I couldn't be there with you this week, but I wanted to take some time to show you how you can use eduClimber to support your school improvement plan. So today I'm going to walk you through how you can grab some data that you need to support what you're doing in your SIP and how you can take the work that you're doing in your school improvement plan and bring it into eduClimber to continuously monitor as part of your stock take process how you're making progress throughout the course of a school year. So first of all, just so you know, I am sitting in Michael Ballone's account so that we will be seeing his data. This is what it should look like for an actual principal. So it'll just be a little bit less confusing than presenting out of my account. So in the Florida Sims, you've probably set up your plan and started with that. And within your plan, under Section 2, you will see Section 2C, SS Subgroup Data Review. This will tell you anywhere that you are under the 41% points of the federal percent of points index. So if you have a 40 or below, this is a category where you will need to have a goal under your planning for improvement because it qualifies as a TS&I for federal support. So for example, we can see at Denjon, we need to be working with our students with disabilities, with our ELL students, and with our students of multiple racial backgrounds below that 41 points. Now from here, we can go into our accountability components for subgroups, and we will see the 21 through 22 subgroup data. It's really important to note that the state, because of the best assessment, is considering the 21-22 data for our subgroup purposes. They've forwarded that straightforward. So even though we will have made progress and changes on the best assessment, this is still what they are using for our goal setting for this year. Now within this, we can look at our students with disabilities, ELLs, whichever categories you need to be working on for your school, we can check for each of their individual components, how far do we need to go? So for example, when looking at my multiracial students here, we were at 21 points. We need to get to 41, so we would need 20 points growth in ELA achievement in order to achieve that. Anywhere where you do not see a reporting category, just a reminder, means that you had fewer than 10 students and they did not have enough data to give you a score here. So in this case, we might have had 10 or more students getting identified for achievement, but some of those students were here for the first time. They didn't have 2 years of data, therefore they didn't get gains, and that dropped us below their confidence levels, so we didn't get a data value there. Now in eduClimber, there are tons of tools that we have at our fingertips to track our data throughout the course of the year, but the one that we're really going to focus on today is the achievement dashboard. First, I'm going to show you the 22-23 achievement dashboard. Then I'm going to show you how you can make your own achievement dashboard or various dashboards that you can use at your school. And finally, we're going to talk about how we can take the action plans we're building in SIP and move them into eduClimber to really engage our entire school and community within that data tracking process. So let's dive into the 22-23 school dashboard. First, you will click Achievement Dashboard on the left, and you should see, if you have school level access, so APs, coaches, you should see the district dashboard and the school dashboard. This will give you all the information aggregated for the entire district so you can compare yourself, but your school dashboard will automatically be filtered down to your school's data. I'm looking at the 22-23 data. It is very critical to note that eduClimber does have 23-24 data active. If you ever load up a page and you don't see any data, make sure you set it back to 22-23. That's just, we don't have any data yet for the upcoming school year, so that's why you're seeing those blanks. You might see something that says, oops, there was no data found. Set it back to the previous school year. Within this school dashboard that I've already built, you can see we have demographic and behavioral data, ELA data, math data, and science data. Clicking any of those will take you to them automatically. This data will automatically be filtered down, it's called dynamic view, automatically filtered down to the students from your school that you have access to. It is important to note that if for some reason you are larger than a single school user, for example, let's say you're an assistant superintendent, you would then see very many students compared to what we might see at one particular school because you have access to more. Let's dive into the demographic and behavioral data section. In here, you can see your MTSS enrollment for the previous school year. So we can see at Denjon, we had 278 students in Tier 2 reading. We had 588 students in Tier 3. We had 216 students in Tier 2 math. We had 573 students in Tier 3 math as of the end of the year. When the new school year comes up, just to let you know, the 23-24 dashboard will show you 2 years of comparison between the data points. We can see our enrollment for the year, how that changed between those years. And next we have our incidents. This is our processed office discipline referrals broken out into major incidents, minor incidents by the student code of conduct. So note that's not minor classroom infractions, that's a minor school-wide referrals and assessors. And we can see how our data looked from last year to this year. So I can see that, for example, on my major referrals, in 21-22, we had 1,900 referrals given, and we almost have that 22-23 down to 1,100. I can see how many of my students met the threshold of being chronically absent, 566, which is about half of my student population, dropping below that 85% attendance threshold. And I can see each of the types of referrals, what the changes were between years. You also have your full day attendance rate, your gender differences in your population, and then we start to dive into your test data. This is what I was referring to earlier with there being no data to display. In this case, it's because Denjon Middle School did not have any kindergarten through second graders, but they did have middle school students taking the FAST assessment, which is why it pulls up my PM2 and my PM3 data here. And I can see from the winter progress monitoring to the spring that we had quite a bit of a jump in our level 3s, went from 73 students to 106 scoring at that level 3. In our level 1s, we moved from 512 down to 455. Continuing further down, we have our math data, Math 3.8. We also have the NWA data if any of our students took that assessment. We also have our Algebra 1 EOC and our Geometry EOC data showing up as well. And then in our science data, we have the MAP Science assessment as well. So there's quite a bit of data in here. There's new stuff coming online all the time, but right now that is what is in here for those data pieces. There's a really cool action planning section in here. However, at the school level dashboard, you will not be able to use it. So if you want to use the action plan function, what you have to do is make your own dashboard. So what we're going to do is click this ellipsis in the top right and hit duplicate. And this will allow us to duplicate this entire dashboard for the new year. So I'm actually going to say this is 22-23 Denjon Middle School because I haven't reconfigured the assessments for the new year yet. I'm going to apply this to my school, and from here I can say I only want the data for Denjon. If I wanted to, I could filter this data down to students of a specific ethnicity or racial background. I could filter it down to students of a specific disability. I could filter it down to students of a specific tag like Tier 2 or 3 reading, or students who are specifically English language learners, or just students who are LY, and it would automatically filter all the data down to those categories. However, I'm just going to pull all the students from this school. When I hit done, you'll now notice that I'm at my new dashboard, 22-23 Denjon Middle School. I'm actually going to go back so you can see here what it looks like. I've got my 4 dashboards, and in addition to my school dashboard, I now have my 22-23 Denjon dashboard. All the exact same data, everything you are seeing, but now this is my dashboard, and I have complete control over it. From here, I can share this with whoever I want. So I could share this with, let's say, my counselor on my campus. And I can give her permissions to edit this, to duplicate it if they want, to share it if they want, but I'm not going to let her delete this data. And now that I save, she has access to this and she can work within this as well. So in this manner, you can actually give permissions to the teachers on your campus, letting them access all of that data, but preventing them from editing or sharing or deleting anything like that. You control the permissions you want them to have. Now within this, really cool function is this action plan. When you first open it for the first time, you're going to see a bunch of sample objectives, goals, and action items. And this is what the framework is for this tool. Objectives are the top level things that your team is working towards. Action items are things that you want individual people to create. And goals are goals tied to the visualizations that are in here. So if it's not a visualization that you have here, you won't be able to tie a goal to it. Today, I'm really going to focus on setting up your objectives and setting up your action items. So let's create an objective. To do that, I click this drop down and you can see I can make an objective, a goal, or an action item. And when I create an objective, whatever I put in my school improvement plan, I can copy directly into eduClimber. So I haven't made the school improvement plan goals for the school, but let's say that because I know I need to set a goal for all my ATS and I students, we're going to work on our English language learners. Anything that's below 41% is somewhere where we need to improve. So we need an ELA goal. Looks like we need a math goal and a science goal, but not a social studies goal for our English language learners. So going back over here, I am going to say that I want to improve ELA outcomes for emergent bilingual students by 22% by the end of SY24, because it's always a good SMART goal to give it a timeline for us. Now when I save, you are going to see that I've got this objective right here that I've set up for myself. We're going to improve our ELA outcomes for emergent bilinguals by the end of 2024. I can now create action items that go under that. And in here I can say, provide weekly interventions for ELL students is one of my action items, and I would like to assign that to Miss Raquel, and my goal is for her to do this by May 15th. Raquel Day, if you're in this room, I apologize for all the emails that you're going to be getting from having goals assigned to you. We're going to say she has to do this by May 15th of next year, and I can say, is this something for her to do? Is this something she's making progress on hold, or done? Those will matter later when we get to them. And now I can put in the description. Counselor will pull a small group of our language learners to provide. I'm just using some general boilerplate language. You probably know you do know your student population much better than I do and their exact needs, and this should mirror that, but I'm giving you an idea of how you build this framework. You can now see in here that we've got the people that we assigned to this with a due date, who it's created by, and that it's in to-do status. Now, what's really cool about this is that this action item, we can leave comments on as we go through. Real quick, you may have noticed that the M popped up here. When you create these action items, don't forget, like I just did, to add yourself to this if you want to be able to comment on it. If you don't add yourself, you're not going to be able to comment. But once you've got that, you can leave comments on this. So we can say, as we're working through the school year, we can say August stock take, reviewed the interventions, and placed students. and submit this, and now we have that comment on here, and it will keep a lineage of every time that we've talked about this. So when we're running our stock take process, as long as we've got a note taker who's keeping these notes, we can keep all of the comments and all of the work that we've done on this action item. Once we've decided that we're, really well into it, we can set this to in progress, or we're not working on it this month, we'll put it on hold, and when we finished it, we can set it to done. And you'll see that this tracker keeps for each of our goals, how are we doing, how much do we need to do, where are we in progress, how much is done. We can go back in and keep adding items to that. We can add as many action items as we want to our goals. We can also add new objectives. So we can say we want to improve math outcomes for emergent bilingual students by, let's see, 19% by the end of school year 2024. So with this, you can make all of the goals that you have in SIP, and you can add as many action items as you want, roll them out to your team, assign everyone who you want to be able to see this, people who are responsible for it, and keep constant track of that. Now, one other really cool thing, if you've made a visualization that visualizes the data that you're talking about, like for example, if I had made a visual that was my FAST 310 data for my emergent bilingual students, you can go into action planning and create a goal. Goals are tied to visualizations, so we can say this goal is to improve level 3 and above from PM1 to PM2 by 30%, etc. And now you could set up your specific visualization that you want the data to pull from. And that will pull the graph in along with the data. You can build a goal statement. This is a lot more complicated, and I will be giving follow-up training on this. So if you are interested in building these goals and learning how to build those visualizations, please reach out to me and we will set something up, because it does take a little bit more than a video's worth of training. But I just wanted you to know that that is available there for you. Don't forget, you can also, while adding people to just the goals, you can also add them to the entire dashboard, which lets them view not only all your school-wide data that you've assigned, but also your action plan data as well. There's so much in here, from creating new visualizations based on tags or demographics, incidence assessments, to building sub-tables that are based on things like your ELL student success or your students with disability success. But what I want to jump into now is just a quick reminder about your school-wide data. So when you are looking at your whole school, one of the things that people are going to be asking a lot about the SIP is, what does our 22-23 data look like? Because your stock take here has the 21-22 data. And I just want to quickly remind you of that process. We click district up here to get your whole school. Grade lets you pick a specific grade level. Don't forget to set it to the prior year. You can pick your school, and then you can search. And what this is going to do is pull in all of your literacy, math, science, social studies, attendance, incident data, panorama data for your entire school, and dump it all in one place. So I'm just really quickly going to show you, the FRS is one of the ways, the Florida reporting system, one of the ways to get it. Your school-wide data, this is another way. So we're just going to look at some of the best data in here quite quickly as soon as it loads. So we've got our best data right here. You can see 6th grade PM123, 7th grade PM123, 8th grade PM123. A few things that I want to remind you of. it will be defaulting to showing red for students who got level 1 and 2 and green for students who got level 3, 4, and 5. But by clicking this ellipsis and view performance levels, you can see the students in each of those ranges. And you can click the block for it to bring up the specific students. Doing so will then show you where they were in reading across genres of vocabulary, informational text, prose and poetry, along with their percentile ranks and their reading scale scores. So that is how you can quickly view how your kids are doing overall. If you want all the grades together at once, that again would be back in the achievement dashboard. We'll show you your count of kids at level 3, 4, and 5. And of course, we've provided plenty of reports for you that aggregate that data in a less on-demand way. So once again, I'm sorry that I couldn't be there for this SIP training, but Lewis is there to help you with all sorts of eduClimber questions that you may have. Of course, always feel free to reach out to me for any additional support or training that you might desire in rolling out eduClimber with all your teachers in your campus. Have a great SIP.